you'll be able to buy certain foodstuffs as part of your privileges, like dried fruit, peanut butter, biscuits, sweets, coffee, tea, and he was, just rattling them off like that. And at length, after having talked to us, he left. In the cell, we sat there trying to make sense of everything that he was saying. Remember, many of us were teenagers coming to prison for the first time. And then suddenly we saw one of the warders in the section opening the door. He said, anyone amongst you wants to write a letter? People raised their hands. Then he brought the prison issued writing pads. Gave us. People started writing letters, We didn't have pens. We just arrived in prison. They borrowed us their pens, lent us their pens, and we wrote letters, submitted them, gave them to the warder. About 2 or 3 days later, those letters came back. Why are they bringing back the letters? Bring back the letters. And then we looked at them. They had so many parts in them scratched off. And all of them had an instruction at the bottom that said you must rewrite this letter. And you must leave out all the parts that have been scratched off. So they censored letters. We didn't know. He had said nothing about censorship of letters, the OC. So we confronted them, what's going on here? They said, no, your letters have been censored. We said, no, we see that. But nobody told us that to censor letters yet. They said, well, the officer commanding probably overlooked telling you about that. But we do censor letters here. And we asked them, what is it that you censor? And then they said, you are not allowed as a prisoner to write about anything relating to prison life. You are not allowed to write about anything that would be considered to be political. You can certainly write about yourself. We also censor letters coming from outside. In those letters, we focus on anything that we believe would be politically newsworthy to prisoners. Are you finished? Is that all? He said, yeah. No, okay, fine. And he left. And he gave us fresh writing pads to rewrite the letters. People started rewriting their letters, submitted them, and months went by, and as months went by, we then came to realize that it was becoming a challenge to fill even a page when we were writing a letter. Only then did we realize how serious these limitations were. Because if you're not allowed to write about prison life, what do you write about? The longer you stay in prison, that becomes your life. You can't write about people that you are meeting in that place, building relationships with. You can't write about what you do on a daily basis. You can't write about anything relating to prison life. But you can write about yourself. And then what do you write about? Why do you always ask us questions? Then you repeat your questions after every 3 months, I didn't even answer that question because I knew if I answered that question, they're going to censor it anyway, So you self-censor and say, I'm going to ignore this one. So that's one challenge that we faced here as prisoners. And of course, even though we grumbled about this, we actually came to realize that it was not that bad. Because there was another limitation. We were told that our letters should not be longer than 500 words, right? So now, realizing that we are running out of things to write about, you then realize that 500 was in fact very generous. These guys were really generous. It no longer seemed to be so limiting, because it was difficult to even fill a page. And of course, we grumbled about it, made a lot of noise, and protested in various ways, which also brought some tension between us, my generation, and the older generation, in a sense. And then we began to learn from them that things were not that bad. We shouldn't complain too much. Even when we complain, we don't have to even embark on hunger strikes for some of the complaints that are not that serious. Because they were of the view that we were quite a reckless group. We were trigger happy, in a way, We loved going on strikes, hunger strikes, refusing to work, all those kind of things. And they were feeling that these young people, they are very reckless, because they said that what they went through in the 60s cannot be compared to what we were going through. You guys complaining about, writing 12 letters a year and you complain. Even if they say it's only 500 words, it's a lot. Because in the 60s, they said we used to write 2 letters a year. And you had to write your letter either in English or Afrikaans. By the way, when we came here, we could write our letters in our mother tongues, which was something that intrigued us, of course, when we arrived here. Because we soon realized that How could these warders be censoring our letters written in our mother tongue? Languages that they never grew up speaking. They learned them somewhere, but they never grew up speaking these languages. We began to test them, by the way. We would write letters, use a lot of idiomatic phrases in our mother tongues in an attempt to get information out of prison. Even use a lingua franca that's generally used in South African townships. But that's another story.